Happy Friday, everybody. Sam Chlebowski joining you for another Motion.io product update live stream. This is going to be a really fun one today as we are recapping a huge month here at Motion.io in the last 30 days of updates and improvements we've made to the platform. So super excited to have you all with us here today. Whether you are just tuning in for the first time, whether you've been tuning in every single week, great to have you here. And thanks again for being a part of the Motion.io community. As mentioned, my name is Sam Chlebowski. I am one of the co-founders here, working on marketing Motion.io since day one. So any question you have about our platform, I will be able to answer it. And I really like to have these live streams be super engaging. So as we go through the content, the things we'll cover today, please do not be shy. Do not hesitate. Write in, ask your questions. I do respond to every single question live. And I will put something in the chat right now. I'm just going to say, hey, everyone, feel free to try it out, whether you are watching on Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook. I'll be seeing those comments. I'll get them and I will respond to them. So please, don't hesitate to write in. I am joining you today from my home in Denver, Colorado. The past couple of weeks I've actually been doing these from the office, but a little bit of a change of pace today, working from home. And excited to be having you all join. Would also love to know, where are you joining from? Where are you watching in the world? I know we have customers all across the globe, Australia, Southeast Asia, the UK. I've seen customers from everywhere using Motion.io. So would love to know where you're joining us from. I always find that interesting. With that, though, let's go ahead and let's talk about just very briefly about the things that we're going to be covering today. And as I go through our release notes here, let me know if there's things that stand out to you that you really want me to focus on, things you want me to cover. Skip ahead, skip around, let me know. But what I'm going to do now here is we're going to pull up our latest version of our release notes. So just give me a moment. Let me pull up my screen here. And cool. I'm going to go down here to our July 2025 release notes. If you've been watching recently, when I do like our weekly product updates, a lot of times where I will go is I will look at Motion.io's changelog, which you can get to just by going to Motion.io/changelog. And that's here. So on this page is where we provide information on the updates we ship every single week. But every month, we wrap up kind of like the biggest features, the biggest new functionality in one single issue of our release notes. And that's what we're looking at here now. So let's talk about it. This has been a really big month for Motion.io. And because we've been releasing so many new features, I always find that it's really helpful to kind of go through this larger recap of like, hey, what was the biggest stuff that we did, that we worked on, that we worked to deliver to you over the last 30 days. And that's exactly what these release notes will say. I will cover later in this live stream a brand new feature that we just shipped on Wednesday, some additional updates that we've made there. But first, I want to talk at the high level of like, hey, what are the cool things that are new in Motion.io? You might have gotten, if you're on our email list, if you signed up for a trial, you've probably got an email from me. But some really, really cool stuff in the last 30 days. So the first one I'll talk about is the improved message center experience. And I'm going to be showing you everything that we've done here in just a couple minutes. But we have noticed that a ton of our users really find a ton of value in Motion.io's message center. And what we've done is we've completely redesigned it to operate a lot more similar, in a lot more of a similar manner to maybe other communication tools that you would expect. So pulling things from Slack or Microsoft Teams, but also pulling in things that are more reminiscent of like a traditional email inbox to really help you streamline your communication. So there's a bunch of stuff here that I will be talking about, like I said, in just a couple minutes. But this is what we're going to be focusing on first. Another big feature is we have made a number of enhancements to the project's dashboard. The project dashboard, if you are not familiar with it, you can get to it by just clicking projects on the left-hand side of your screen. And this is where you'll see a list of all of your projects in your Motion.io account. So we've added some cool new things here, making easier to filter by clients, to search, just generally just surface the information that you need faster. After that, we'll be talking about productivity reporting, which you can see a screenshot here on my screen. This is a really cool feature, and it's something that I've seen done in a lot of other platforms. A great example of this, a product we use every day, ChartMogul, really provides these sort of like automated metrics, and it's in a slightly different fashion because this is a revenue and retention calculator for like SaaS companies like ourselves. But one of the things I really like about ChartMogul is all of these reports that they just generate for you without you even having to ask. And it's really like important stuff there about the health of your business. And what we've tried to do is borrow some inspiration from there and a couple of other platforms. And you now have access, if you are on the scale plan, to this reporting tab. And we'll talk a little bit more about the metrics available here, but it's a really great way to surface the ROI of Motion.io and the impact it's making on your business. Also, earlier in the month, we added new functionality that allows you to embed forms directly in portal tabs. This is a really cool feature, especially if you are a business where you have additional services that clients can purchase. For example, let's say after a website redesign wraps up, if you allow clients to purchase like additional pages that they want you to design, this might be a really great way to do that. And what you can do with the ability to embed forms into portal tabs is have this really streamlined system. So provide clients an area where they can submit a form at any time, whether it's a purchase form, whether it is a form for support tickets or technical assistance. They can submit these forms at any time in their portals. And these forms, once they're submitted, automatically create a task for your team to complete, making it not only easy to collect requests from clients, so you're not scanning through email or Slack or things like that, but it also allows you to manage those requests and automatically assign a team member to a task that gets auto-created when the form is submitted. So we'll be talking about that. We've also made a number of improvements to the task activity feed. So when you go into a task in Motion.io, you click into that. There's always been this bar here on the right side that has activity, but previously it was just comments. So we've added some additional things there to help you get a more granular view of specific tasks. This isn't something that is, necessary, or maybe you'll even be looking at on every single task. But what I will say is it's really, really helpful if there are especially important tasks, things like clients reviewing something, and maybe it's a bunch of back and forth, or maybe you have a bunch of different stakeholders on one task and want to see when each of them was added, when the task was activated, and all of those kind of things. And then down at the bottom here, we do have some really great improvements and quality life updates over the past 30 days or so. I will be skimming through these at the end of the live stream here today after we kind of talk about those big features, but some really cool stuff here. The ability to use a project owner field and populate it automatically in tasks and descriptions, improvements to global template updates. This is a really big one too if you're a longtime user. An improvement that allows you to edit portal tabs and apply those edits or updates globally across all projects created from a specific contract or from a specific template. And then we also have some stuff about single-use contracts, new functionality. You no longer have to, you're no longer restricted to just creating contract templates. You can create like one-off contracts. So like I said, as I go through this various information today, please do not hesitate, chime in. Let me know what you want to see first. What is most interesting to you? Are there features you need to learn more about here that you didn't even know about until now? Would love to hear from you all in the audience. So yeah, write in with your comments. With that, to dive in here, now that we've kind of went through the release notes of what we've shipped over the last 30 days, we're going to go ahead and kick it off with talking about our new and improved message center experience in Motion.io. So to do that, I'm going to pop into my own motion.io account, and let's go ahead and show you around. Okay, so I will hop on in here. And sweet. So here is my motion.io account. And we're talking first about our new and improved message center. So you can see in my project dashboard here, I can see that right on the left-hand side, I do have some new messages already here. And what you will notice is if you have used the message center before, and I'm actually going to delete a couple of these. This was me. If you're not familiar with what this is our simulated AI client. Basically, it allows you to add a client powered by AI to a project and test that project, analyze it, engage like you would with a real client. But the AI does it all in a couple minutes and then spits out basically an assessment of, hey, this part of your template works good, or this task took a long time to complete. Here's the improvements you can make. But that's what you're seeing here is when you add an AI client to a project and you're testing it, you will get messages from them that you can respond to. But for the sake of this live stream, I'm just going to go ahead and archive those for now. And actually, there's a faster way that I could have done that as opposed to just going down the list and selecting because of the improvements we've made to the message center. So let's say, actually, let me just go ahead and I'm going to unarchive these. So one of the things that we've also added is the ability to, we have more advanced filters here in the message center now. So let's say I wanted to go into the archived option and I actually wanted to activate all of these tasks again, just the AI client. What I could do is I could just type in AI, include it in the brackets. And now this will just pull up my conversations with the AI chatbot that I've added to various projects. So what I'm going to do is now that I've selected that, I'm going to go ahead and unarchive them. And then just to show you real quick, I could then go back, remove my filter for archive projects, and just do the same thing. I'll just search by AI. Sweet, select all, archive all of those messages that I want to move out of the way. And this is really useful, a really useful addition to the message center, just because I've even noticed that I have a separate motion.io account that I use for like internal stuff. And I've noticed that when I go log in first thing in the morning, there's always like a couple of messages that are either things that are just like, you know, those responses you'll get to emails that are just like, everything's done, but it's just like a thank you, or that sounds great. There's always messages like that. And what I've found that it's this search functionality allows you to do is really easily just go in, search for a specific person, look through their messages, just archive the ones that you are, completed. You don't need them in the message center anymore, and then quickly respond to the ones that do need action. So those are kind of the first two big highlights, this new search bar here that allows you to not only search by projects, but search by clients. Something we talked about last week when we released this update on one of the live streams is people were really curious, like, can individual projects be tied to specific chats? And the answer is actually yes, and it is a default option. So in motion.io, anytime a client sends you a message, it's always going to be tied to a specific project. And this works well because let's say you have the same client on multiple projects. Well, if you do, you'll be able to quickly differentiate between which project that they are referencing. So for example, it clearly says under Mariah Moxie's message here that this is for the Moxie Beverages project. And I could even click into that if I want. And a similar thing with, Tate Smith from Tate's Tater Tots. It says, hey, this is for their specific digital advertising project. So you'll have a very easy reference of what project a client might be sending either messages or comments from. So messages will display, both messages and comments will display with the project name. But one thing that you can also do, and this has been in the message center for a little while, but just in case you weren't aware of it, One thing that you can also do is if you click into a message in the message center that is for a task, and it'll say that right up here, you are able to actually expand that task and get context on what you are even responding to by clicking this plus button here. And that'll show you, oh, okay, this was a task for this client to review and approve a video file. And then I can close that. And if I wanted to, for comments, I can even use AI to respond. So I'll go ahead and I'm going to generate an AI response. I'm going to click this wand button down here. And this, what the AI spit out here, it looks pretty good. But the AI was a little bit wordy in this one. So I'm just going to remove part of that. And then I'm just going to tag my client here, Mariah Moxie, and then sweet. In 3 seconds, I have responded to this client, generated a response for them using this little AI wand here. And we are going to go ahead and start working on that. One thing that you'll notice as well within the message center, messages you've replied to already will have this little green arrow. But what you can also do, and what I recommend doing for things that, for example, this client had this task to review and approve a video file. I said, hey, great, we're on it. What I want to do to keep this in my inbox and let me know that I still have to follow up on this is I'm going to click this follow-up flag. It's going to add that right here. And I know that I have to respond to this. On the flip side, here is a different project and a different client. Let's say this one was good. We took care of this request already. What I might want to do instead is remove the follow-up flag and then archive it just to move it out of my message center inbox and say, hey, we've already completed this. And I'll do the similar thing for another message in my message center. This client asking where we can upload a few examples from a competitor that illustrates like the vibe they're going for their project and their ad creative. And you'll see that this, unlike the previous message I showed you, this is for a chat message, not a comment. And you'll know that because it'll say project up at the top instead of tasks. So I'm going to respond to this client. I'll say, hey, you can upload them via the files page of your portal. And sweet, go ahead, click respond, and I am done. And as with that last ticket, I'm going to go ahead and archive these. But I do know, because I've set follow-up flags, that these are two things that are kind of still outstanding. And just like that, in like 10 minutes, I've cleared out my inbox for the day. I don't have those client messages clogging up the other inbox I'm using for internal stuff. And that's really, like, at the end of the day, I think the biggest benefit of our message center is it keeps client communication so much organized and provides so much more structure and context than your email inbox ever could. I mean, I know me personally, I've worked with a number of agencies, outside consultants in the past, and we've always just used like email and spreadsheets and Slack. But one of the problems with that I've often ran into is it's so hard to remember what specific Slack thread this conversation was going on, or what this comment might be referencing in terms of some kind of deliverable. With Motion.io's Message Center, all of that context is right there for you. And you get the added benefit of keeping client communication all in one place, a separate place that your team can access, so nothing falls through the cracks, and important conversation is really easy to surface. So with that wraps up the first feature we're going to talk about today. And there's a reminder too, if you have questions, let me know. Have you been using the new Message Center? Is it something that you've found helpful? Would love to hear more from you. With that, though, we're going to talk about the next significant feature and update that we've shipped in the last month, which is our enhanced projects dashboard. And if you're familiar with Motion.io, you've been using it for some time, you probably already know that the projects dashboard is oftentimes like your, after you respond to messages that day, after, when you're checking in on various projects, this is oftentimes your home base. for managing your projects and getting a high-level view of how things are going across your organization. So we've made some big improvements to the projects dashboard. The way that I'm going to get to this is I'll just click into here to projects, and you'll notice a couple of new things here. So one of the big things that we added this past month is the ability to favorite specific projects. So I'm going to remove these favorites for now, but I'll show you how to quickly add these. So favorites are really useful if, let's say, I am a member, I'm a team member within an organization, and there are a couple projects which are extra important to me, extra high priority. You know, maybe I have a lot of other projects in my dashboard, but I just want to know, hey, these are projects that I'm taking lead on, or these are, you know, high priority work. What you can do now is every team member from their projects dashboard can click into favorite various projects. And when you favorite those, a little star will show beside them in the list, but then you'll also be able to quickly access them from this sidebar that has a favorite section here. So really useful for just keeping those high priority projects top of mind. The other thing, and I would say this was even more heavily requested by our users. This one, this piece of functionality we've added to the dashboard is like 100%. Our users said, hey, I need a way to more easily determine what clients are on what projects and be able to filter between different clients very quickly. So we have now made that a possibility within the projects dashboard. So what you'll see is there is a, in addition to this owner tab, which we've had in Motion.io for some time, you also have a new column called clients that provides an avatar for each client. And you can also hover over their names and see them. But what you can also do, and probably the bigger piece of this functionality, is you can now search by specific clients. So I know that I have a client on multiple projects. Her name is Jenny Jacobs. So I'm going to go ahead and search Jenny. And just like that, all of the projects that Jenny is a member of pull up right away in my dashboard. And the same thing, you can also search by owner. So if I wanted to do, I have a team member on my team, it's fake team member, not a real one, but her name is Sarah Smith. So I can also type in Sarah and I can pull up all of the projects that Sarah is added to here. So it makes it a really easy way to filter between projects, understand, you know, what work is associated with what clients, because another thing, and this is something that's been in Motion.io for a while now, but with this improvement, we've made it even easier, is to perform bulk actions on specific projects at once. So let's say, for example, this project, these two projects that Jenny Jacobs is a part of, maybe I know that Jenny is somebody who needs a lot of handholding. And I'm like, hey, I need extra help on these two projects. What I could do is I could go ahead and I could add another team member to these projects. And I can select those projects, add my team member here. So I'll add Perry to these projects to jump in and help me out. But then you can also do a number of other things. You can add tags, set the status of those projects. So if they're wrapped up, set them to completed, as well as import tasks. So for example, let's say that there was a key piece of information that applies to both of these projects. I wanted to import some tasks that ask them to just, let's say, fill out a form. What I could do is I can use a bulk action to import a specific task into these projects and automatically assign these tasks and set them to active. So just like that, I was able to find these projects I wanted to add a task to and then import them using a bulk action. Another really helpful thing to add about these improvements that we've made to the project dashboard is also when you are working from the dashboard. In the previous version of Motion.io, what used to happen is if you would go ahead and set up all of these filters, you know, I'll just add a couple of here. What would happen previously is if you refreshed your page, I'll clear this, but I'll just go to projects that with overdue tasks, for example. Previously, what would happen is if you had saved and set up these different filters, if you went to a new page, you clicked into a project, this would reset and you have to reapply your filters again. So what we've done with this recent update is we've made filters that you apply sticky. So if you go into other projects from the dashboard, if you navigate around, you won't lose your filters basically until you log out. They'll remain saved here for you, so you don't have to constantly be updating the filters that you've applied. So that does it for the projects dashboard and the enhancements that we have made there. And the next feature that I want to talk about is really cool. This is probably, I would say, out of this release, this was one that I was most excited about just personally, because I think it's a really cool, you're also talking to the marketing guy here. So I thought it was a really cool way to just show the value of our product. And that is our new productivity dashboard. And this tab is really cool. If you haven't gone to it, if you're on the scale plan, definitely encourage you to check it out. So what is the productivity dashboard, or also what we call productivity reporting in Motion.io? Well, if you go down here to the reporting tab, what you're able to see is across your team, how many tasks have been completed, how many automations have run, how many emails have you eliminated, how many hours have you saved, and how much money have you saved. So it can be really cool for understanding like the metrics of individual team members and their productivity in the platform. But it's also really amazing for like that high level view of like, hey, how are things going with Motion.io? We moved from this manual, disjointed process. Maybe you're using emails, spreadsheets, constantly texting, calling customers. And now that you've moved to Motion.io, how is that making an impact? This new reporting tab will show you exactly that. So on this tab, all of these metrics, every team member that is on your account will be included here. And you can also filter by different time ranges. So you can go last 7 days, 30 days, 90 days. You can even do all time. And this is where things, in my opinion, get really cool, because in my reporting dashboard, you can see how much money have we saved? $14,000. That's crazy. How many hours have we saved? 234 hours. It also gives you a kind of a cool little leaderboard here where the team member for each category with a metric that is like the best in that category is going to be highlighted in green. So I can see Perry has eliminated the most emails, saved the most hours, saved the most money. But on the other hand, I've set up and run the most automations. So it's a really cool way to see team performance and how they're using Motion.io in just this really streamlined, automated view that's populated automatically for you. And once again, the way that you get into this reporting tab is just click reporting here. Like I said, if you are on the scale plan, this will be available to you right now. So we have discussed 4 of the 5 major features that I want to cover in this live stream today. But I will just take a pause for a second. What questions do you have? Is there anything that I've shown you today that you want to learn more about? Are there new things that you've been wanting to do in Motion.io but don't know how? I'm happy to give specific instructions, specific guidance while we are on the live stream here today. That's what I'm here for. I'll stay the entire hour. I'll even stay beyond that. I've had these live streams go like an hour and a half, even bumping up on 2 hours, just because we were getting great questions. So it doesn't matter how specific it is. I'm happy to get into it live here if you want to pop your question in the chat. So until then, though, let's keep moving down our list here. And just to give you all a quick recap in case there's new folks joining in, I did see a couple people popping in here a little bit on the later side. As a reminder, to all of these streams are available on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn as soon as we're done with them. So you can always watch the recap. But yeah, so far we've talked about our improved message center experience. We've talked about enhancements we've made to the dashboard, productivity reporting, and what I want to get into now. I'm actually going to skip ahead and let's just talk quickly about the improvements we've made to the task activity feed, and then we'll go back and let's talk about forms in portal tabs. So I am going to go ahead and pivot away here from our release notes for this month back into my Motion.io account. And let me go into a project here. I know I have a couple of in-flight projects in my account. So let's just choose a good one where I know that there is a task that is completed. And actually, let's show you this quickly. What I'll actually do is I'm going to go into, so this is a project, what I was talking about earlier with the AI clients. If you click add user here, you can use this dropdown and add a simulated client to a project. I've already done that in this project. You can only add one at a time. That's why you don't see that option. But in the tasks for this project, I can see the various tasks that the AI has completed already. And I'm going to use one of these just to show you what our new activity feed looks like. So previously, this sidebar here only contained comments. But what you'll notice now is that there is more additional helpful information within the task activity feed. So this is for just a specific task. All of this is referencing just this onboarding form task. But I can see that, okay, my AI client was assigned to the task earlier today. The task was set to active. This could have been done manually or through an automation. And then the AI had left some comments. I didn't respond to those yet, but I can if I want to later. I can go back. And this will also say when you do add an AI client to one of your projects to test it, it will give feedback as well. So this is the only section that looks a little bit different than if you're using this, if you're looking at the new task activity feed with a real client, is that you'll see these sections that will occasionally say AI feedback has been added. But you can also get to this, a full list of that feedback if you go to the AI simulation tab of a project. So yeah, just quickly recapping the way that this works. Within the activity feed, you will now be able to see task assignments. So when a person was assigned, you'll be able to see task status updates, like when it was completed or when it was activated, all in addition to everything else that you were used to seeing previously in the activity sidebar. And we've really tried to be intentional with the information that we include here. So we don't just include like everything that could have ever happened, but what we have discovered upon talking with our users is that these are kind of the most important things that you need to know, especially for really high priority tasks, like approving a deliverable, for example, that it's really helpful to know, hey, who was added? When were they added? When was the task activated? Because maybe it's a task asking for feedback and you want to know, hey, how long was it since this task has been active? How long was it since the client has had access? Because if it's been more than a couple of days and I'm still waiting around for feedback, maybe it's time to send an additional follow-up to supplement the automated reminders that Motion.io is doing already, just to remind them of the importance. And you could even quickly, to do something like that, you could even just tag them in a comment, which will notify them automatically. Or you could, reach out in another method. So that kind of does it for that. I do see we have a question coming in from Daniel Briere. And Daniel asks, just curious about the portal forms. Not sure if you have covered that already. I just logged in. So Daniel, great to have you with us today. Your timing could not be more perfect because that was what I was just about to talk about. So let's talk about portal forms. To do this, I'm going to go ahead and hop back into my Motion.io account. And just a second, want to make sure I'm sharing the correct screen here. So what are portal forms? And, what was Daniel talking about? Seems like he knows a little bit about them already. So just for the 411 for all of you in the audience, especially if you're new to Motion.io, in our product, you have the ability to create forms. Of course, you probably know that already. And you can attach those forms to tasks. One of the requests that we would pretty routinely started to hear from folks is, well, I have this form and I attach it to a task, but then it's done. And I really need a way for a client to submit ongoing requests to me. And really, the way that tasks work is those are designed for things like an onboarding or intake form, where the client fills it out one time and you don't typically need them to ever fill it out again. On the other hand, what folks were asking us to be able to do is do things to like track client work requests or collect client information that had to be updated or they needed from clients periodically. So we said, okay, what's the best way to solve this? And what we were able to come to the decision on, and I think it's a really great solution, is the ability to embed forms directly in tabs of your clients' portals. So to show you what this looks like, and then we'll talk a little bit more about the setup, but I'm going to pop into this digital advertising project I've created. This was created from a template. So the portal tabs that you see here are also any new project I would create from that template, they would carry over. But in this Moxie Beverages project, you see that I have this additional tab. It was a custom one that I created called Service Requests. And down here, there's a spot to embed that form. If I go and I view the client's portal, what you'll see is that when I click into this Service Requests tab, the client has this option to fill out a form where they can purchase additional services from me. So I'll fill this out quickly just to show you what it does. And let's say I wanted, and I should actually go back here for a second. Let me do this as the client by impersonating them here. So I am impersonating Jenny Jacobs, who we were talking about earlier. Going to go into the service request tab of the portal. And what I'll do is quickly fill out this purchase form. Let's say Jenny, her organization, they want some additional landing page designs. So I've selected the landing page design service. We'd like a new page designed to compare our services to a competitor. So just real quick information there. I'll also just upload a file here just to select something. Just going to choose a random image from my desktop here. But cool. So I've submitted this form as Jenny, and I will click submit. And sweet. What Jenny can see on her end, on the client end, is that a task has been created and the team has been notified. And then Jenny can also see that task in her client portal. So I have this stage called updates and maintenance. And this is what I've set up for every new request after the project wraps up, we'll go to this specific stage. And I can see here the exact information that Jenny added to the task, the service that they wanted, and the details as well as the file are here. If there was additional clarification that Jenny wanted to share as work progressed here, she can also tag us and tag my team in the comments. So I'll write this on behalf of Jenny, and I'll just say, I'll tag myself and say, hey, here is the page we can use for inspiration. And just like that, this client was able to submit a request for additional work. They know how much it costs by right there by filling out the form. And they were able to upload their details and the information that they needed, including other information they forgot to include initially, without your involvement at all. They were able to do this all self-service. There was no email or Slack back and forth. it takes just a couple of minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and pause there because I do see we have a couple more questions that have come in. Jorgie Jorgensen asks, can you create a form that allows the client to add a co-client into the project automatically? So this is something a little bit different than our forms. Basically, with the way that, to answer your question, Jorgie, with the way that adding clients to projects work, is it does have to be done by admins. And we don't have a way within the app to like automate or to give client access to add their own team members. Those team members have to be added in some way by your Motion.io administrators or team members. But that is an interesting idea. If you want to send me some additional information about that, happy to share your thoughts with the team. What we like to be, and kind of what we've been careful of when speaking with users, is that if you give clients the ability to do like anything in the platform, it can get kind of unruly. So we really like to pay attention to these system defaults of like, hey, what is the way that most people would be using the product? And what we've seen time and time again is folks really want to be able to control what clients get added to what projects without team members of that client being able to just add whoever they want. Because sometimes, information is sensitive. Maybe it's something that doesn't have to be shared with the whole team. But it is an interesting idea, for example, to be able to like loop in someone on the project. So I could definitely see a reason why that functionality would be useful. And if you want to send me some additional information, my direct email is sam@motion.io. I'll put it in the chat. I'm happy to share any of those insights and feedback with the team. So we were talking about portal forms, and I showed you how to be able to, or what it looks like from the client side when they submit a form that was embedded into a portal tab. Now, I want to go ahead and show you what it looks like from the admin's view. And it's very, very similar, but what you'll be able to do now is if a client submits your form, the same way that the client was able to view and comment on the task, so can your team. And let me see, I have a couple of tasks here. So here was the form that Jenny Jacobs submitted. And viewing this from the admin backend, I have a task here. I was automatically assigned to it. It was automatically activated for me. And I didn't have to do anything to collect that client request. And once this is done, I can just go ahead and mark this as complete. But it's a really great way for keeping track of those impromptu client requests, or maybe not so impromptu. Maybe they happen on a regular schedule. But what the key thing that Motion.io does is automatically log it for you and give you a place so you can get work started right away. You're not wasting time digging through emails, Slack threads to find the information you need. And I see Daniel has another question here, so we'll just talk about that quickly. I need historical information from clients. Example can be the addresses a client has lived at for the past 10 years. Client A might have lived at one address. Client B might have lived at multiple addresses. So that's an interesting question there, Daniel. I would say that this type of information is probably best captured in a standard form as opposed to a portal form. And I would love to know, is there a reason that you can't use just a standard form to collect that? For example, I could see a way that you could go and create a form with just a basic like description field that says, or sorry, not a description field, a paragraph text field. So you create a question that says, please enter every address below. And you could even validate this with a question above it that maybe says something like, how many addresses have you lived at? And just do it like this. So really quick and easy. And you could add this as a form in a portal, but my personal suggestion would be just attach this to a task. But if there's a reason why maybe this doesn't work for you, let me know. I'm sure that I have another solution that will. So. And thanks for the clarification. Daniel said, no, that doesn't work. People are not good at providing complete info. So with that, Daniel, one thing that I wanted to point out here that I think is helpful, especially for you to know about, if you are having trouble with clients not providing all of the information that they need on a form, in Motion.io, we have this really great feature, which you may or may not be aware of. What you can do is request changes on a task. So, for example, this is a different onboarding form, but let's say one of these questions asks the client about how many addresses they lived at. After the client completes a form, you can request changes to kind of kick it back to them. So once again, client completes the form, you see it's complete, you review it, and if you click request changes, you can say, hi, it looks like you didn't include every address. Please update your form to provide addresses 3, 4, and 5. So you can kick this back to the client really easily and make it so they'll be notified of this and be able to complete those updates and those changes that you need. Let me just reset the due date on this very quickly so I can just show you what this is going to look like here. 1 second. Whoops, still not in the future enough. Okay. So what you'll see is that once I requested those changes, I left a note, it automatically shows up in the comment and activity feed sidebar. And I have a clear record of, hey, I asked the client for this, for these additional addresses, and it'll show as incomplete until the client goes back and updates this form. So that's probably a really great solution for you there, Daniel. As an additional step, what you can even do is if, let's say you're creating your project template and you have a task that's just called complete address form. If you want to be sure, if this is a task that clients are commonly not providing all of the information that they need, as a check for yourself, what you can even do is toggle on this team review option and set yourself to review the task. So once the client completes this task, you get automatically notified to see if they provided all of the information or not. So in this case, for Larry Smith, let me just attach a form here very quickly. We'll show you how this works. I think this will probably be a great solution for you. So I'm going to activate this task, then I'm just going to complete it as the admin. If you do this on one of your tasks that clients are, pretty consistently not providing all of the information needed, what will happen is after they complete it, its status will change to in review. You'll be notified that, hey, I need to go in and review this. And from there, this won't be officially marked as complete until you click the green button. But if this needs changes, so for example, this was marked as complete. Oh, the client actually didn't fill out anything here. What I'll say is, please fill out the form. So I requested changes on that after I reviewed it. And just as that task I showed you previously, it's now showing as incomplete. So I kick it back to the client and wait for them to take the action that I need. And I see we have a couple more questions that come in. These are really interesting ones. So I'm going to pop these up here on screen. And Daniel, I hope that that was helpful, seeing that how the request changes functionality worked, as well as how the in review status works. So Jory asked a question, is it possible to create roles for the client? If there are multiple clients on a project, but one client is on point, can we set up a client as the main POC with the other client being a different role? So Jorgi, I will cut right to the chase and say no, not at the moment, but this is a really great piece of feedback. And it's actually something that we have thought about quite a bit. There have been a number of times where we've gotten feedback requests we've gotten feedback about being able to like auto assign certain clients and people wanting to, have automations that basically can select the primary contact of a project and assign them new tasks through an automation. And along with that, I do see a ton of value in having sort of a primary client contact. I'm going to share that feedback with the team. I will make sure to log that as a feature request for you, and we'll follow up as there's updates there. But it's a great idea. Not possible right now, but something that we have been thinking about and in line very much so with the direction of our product and the way that we are taking things. So thanks so much for tuning in. And Daniel added some context. I will reach out to you to review how we do it with jot forms to provide better insight. Yeah, that would be super helpful, Daniel, to see maybe what your jot form was. And then I could give you some additional information that maybe is a little bit even more tailored to your use case and even more helpful for what you're looking to do. And then Jorgie had another question, and this one was really interesting to me. Can your AI identify if they added all the address information and automatically tell them to add all the details if they did not? So no, not right now, but this is a great idea. So right now, Jorgie, we have the AI client that acts as a simulated client that sort of like runs through your project, analyzes your workflow, and gives you insights on that. And this isn't, I'll clarify this by saying this isn't something like on our immediate roadmap, but one of the things that we've been discussing is that if we had sort of an AI team member that could do things for you, just like reviewing a task and seeing if the client had all of the information and it was entered correctly. I love this idea. I'm going to go back right after this. I'm done with this live stream here today. I'm going to go back and share this with the team. I think it's a really great idea. And I especially like how clear it is to me of like, oh, this is like a small step we could take that would be really useful. For example, if you had an AI team member who could, you could instruct, hey, go review this task to make sure all of the information is there. And if not, craft a follow-up for me. And, we would probably have it set up so that the AI wouldn't automatically send the follow-up, but it would create it. And then you could just click confirm and send. So I love the idea. It's a really, really cool recommendation there. So thank you so much for tuning in. And love the questions, everybody. This has been super fun. So if anybody watching has other stuff that they want to learn, that you want to know about Motion.io, even features requests or requests for new functionality, I'd love to hear them. Super helpful for me, super helpful for the rest of the team. And I'm just taking a note too of some of these feature requests we got here today. But with that, I want to show you a couple of last minute things here. I see we have another question. Can your forms be used in a survey format and then gather stats based on survey answers? Not at the moment, Jorgie, but you do have, you can do this through something like a Google form or even a jot form. If there is a form that does like quizzes and surveys, it's something we've talked about. It's on the roadmap, but not like an initial not a sort of priority this quarter. But we have discussed a few times before, and it has been requested of being able to have forms in a survey format, just not available in Motion.io at the moment here. So I did just want to wrap up. I know we talked a little bit about the portal forms, but I wanted to quickly show you how to actually set these up. If you are new to them, if you want to request or give clients a place to request additional services, you can even use these forms as kind of like a help desk. So I'm going to go in here to my, actually, let's just create a new template here. I'm going to call this portal form example. I'll just delete this later, but I'm going to create a new template here. And then I'm going to go to my portal tab. And this is where I can customize the tabs that will appear under the name of this project when I invite the client to it. So right now, this is just the 2 default pages. There's a tasks page and a welcome page. First, I'm just going to reorder these. And then I'm going to add a new page called service requests. I'll choose an icon here. Let's choose this person with the check mark next to it. And now I could enter additional information here. I could add content, images, links here. I could embed even another website or app. But in general, I do find that these portal forms are most effective if you try and limit it to maybe just a description and the form itself, just to make sure it doesn't get missed and the form stays high up on the page. So I'm next going to search for my service purchase form. This is something that I've already created. That's a form that I showed you earlier that asks, hey, what service do you want? Give us some details, add your files. So after I select the form that I want to use, I can then assign a team member. And what you see here, this is going to control who gets assigned to the tasks or to the task that this form creates when it's submitted. So for this service purchase form, I want to always be assigned to that. So I'm going to go ahead, click enable form. And this is another update that we just made. If you've gotten this since playing around in your templates, cool to call out really quickly. So previously, you had to add the only way to populate a new portal tab that you created across projects that were already active. The only way to do that previously was adding a new page. If you edited a page or a portal tab, you wouldn't get this modal that triggered asking if you wanted to apply the change. But now you have this and you can click review changes whenever you add or edit a portal tab. If you have projects you've created a template from already, you'll be able to see how many of those projects you are populating changes to here. In my case, this is a brand new template. I haven't created any projects from it, so it's not going to do anything. But really cool to know that you now have the ability to edit your portal tabs. So for example, if I edited this welcome tab, let's just say I wanted to remove some of this information. Once I save this, that same message will appear asking if I want to review the changes and apply them to all active projects that were previously created from this template. But with that, I've set this up. So let's just do a quick preview of what this is going to look like. And I will quickly go ahead, create a project. I'll just call this new example. Come in here, go to the portal tab, and great. I can see that new custom tab I created for my service request is now active. And then if I wanted to get a quick preview, I can click this button up here in the upper right-hand corner and get a view of what the client will see. And I can see, okay, great. This is set up perfectly. One thing that is helpful to note about these portal forms, and let me hop back into my account here. One thing that is really helpful to note is that let's say you have a portal form and you have this template you created where you, for example, I've selected myself as the person that the tasks are assigned to. But let's say that for this specific project I created, this is actually somebody different leading the project. One important thing to note is that after you create the project from your template, you can change this form to create a task for whoever you want on your team, and you're not locked in. You can change this at any step along the way. You can also have as many of these forms as you'd like. So for example, if I wanted to use our AI builder that says, create me, so I'm going to create a form really quickly, create me a help desk ticket form for my website design clients. So I'm going to use the AI builder to generate this real quick. And we'll say, oh, cool. This looks good enough to go. I'm going to come to or go back to one of my templates now that this help desk ticket form is created. So back into that example template I was working with just a few moments ago, I'm going to create a new tab, and this is going to be called support. Change the icon here, do a little smiley face. And now I will go ahead and select that help desk form I just created. And I could assign this to myself, or I could choose somebody different on the team for these tasks to be assigned to. And I'll go ahead and click save. And sweet, so I have two different forms, one for service requests, one for support, and the client can access both of those at any time directly through their portals. So with that, we are at time here. This has been a really fun one here today. If there are any last minute questions, go ahead, send them in. I'm happy to hang out for a couple more minutes. But with that, yeah, I think that we've answered all of the questions. Thanks so much to everybody who has written in. As a reminder, we do these live streams every single Friday at this same time, 10:30 out here in Colorado. 12:30 if you are on the East Coast of the United States, and then 9:30 if you are on the West Coast. So be sure to tune in. You can subscribe to our YouTube page, our Facebook page, or our LinkedIn company page, and you'll automatically get updates about every time we go live. In addition to, we do send emails about our live streams each week and what they will feature. So with that, everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. Hope you have a great rest of your Friday and a great weekend. Take care. Talk to you next week. Bye-bye.